I love this town. I was in New York City over the Christmas break, and I loved it there too, but you're totally anonymous in that city. And it was nice to come home and go to Walmart and see somebody I knew. But I love it here. I think we have to look at what it means to live in a small town. We are a small town. I don't know that we'll ever be considered anything but that, but there are so many advantages. Some of the things that we think are negative are actually advantages.
There used to be some slogans that were around Ada. One of them was, Ada, not a lady, but a dandy place to live. And another one that was very popular, in fact, the paper sponsored the contest, was Ada, Ada, the three-letter town. Spell her up or spell her down. One of the major attractions was it was the home of East Central. And that was a very important factor of the town, and of course still is today. Ada was always a very viable trade and business center, and people came here to shop, and it became a professional center. The Chamber has always been quite active, and very early on it became involved in industrial recruitment with the formation of the Ada Industrial Development Corporation. Ted Savage, he was completely selfless, he had no ego, and was always cheerful and outgoing. He was just chamber-oriented, and he loved Ada. And he was a whistler. He whistled constantly, often tunelessly. It was just noise, but he still whistled, and you could hear him coming down the street whistling, and he became known for that. When Dewey Bartlett became governor, he established the State Industrial Development Division. He was the first. And then Ted's wheels started turning right away when he knew that was happening. He said, we've got to stay with these people. As soon as he established that division, Ted went straight to it, to meet with the state, at the state capitol to meet them, and to get acquainted and let them know what Ada was. Bill Little was the head of the industrial recruitment division of the Chamber for many years, and very effective. He was one of the chief factors, along with Ted Savage, who brought the water lab to Ada through the office of the late Senator Kerr. And they worked tirelessly on that. The Science and Natural Resources Foundation was established about 1961 or 2 to get the lab. And we had about 400 acres of land out there, where there were a lot of plans for it, but nothing happened, and it just lay sort of fallow. The first thing we had to do was get a good road. The Kerr Lab Road was really in bad shape, and especially the entrance part going in to Kerr Lab Research. And so Ted went to the county commissioner to tell him all we needed, and the county commissioner said, well, I don't have that kind of money. I watched them as Ted talked. He was telling the advantages of all their money going to that road, and I watched. I didn't think it was going over. And pretty soon one of them said, Mr. Savage, you expect us to take the money from our district, from our people? And he said, sure. He said, it's going to help everybody. And so he told them what it would do for the community if they would just do that. Well, the man just got up and walked out. So then finally the other guy left. I'm sort of embarrassed. And Ted said, well, we're going to do it another way. He called the state highway commissioner, and then he called the industrial development department and discussed it with them. Before you know it, the state highway department sent all the materials down for that commissioner. They furnished everything, and we got the road. He was a very industrious individual, and he was tenacious. Once he got after a project, he stayed with it, and he produced results. I remember Ted was involved in the creation of the first sidewalk sale, which was a monumental success. you could not move on Main Street. I mean, it was like a audience, a papal in Rome. You simply couldn't move. The people were shoulder to shoulder, and there was gridlock on Main Street, and it was a whopping success.